All right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Ba'Shem Al Shah Barakatham to you, hopefully elect. Just through the Spirit, just back with another live. Lord willing, this be edifying. And again, through the Spirit, is I was motivated to do this lesson. I was watching a video by the Apostle Elder Gabar. Bear with me real quick. Trying to pull up the title of this lesson by the Apostle Elder Gabar. And I don't have the best internet, the fastest internet. But Apostle Gabar, he did a show titled The Last Dance. Right? Entitled The Last Dance, we have been warning you. And in this lesson that the apostle was doing, he mentioned, and this is what sparked me to do this quick show. Pretty much he was touching on, because we believe and know that it's going to come down to some of us, if we're of that number, the hopefully elect, some of us actually being put to death. That might be a hard pill for some to swallow, but nevertheless, it's going to be a reality for, again, some of us hopefully elect brothers, of being put to death. So with that being said, because the beautiful thing about this thing of ours, Yahweh Shema Shai, through his spirit, his Holy Spirit, he's with everything that's coming down the pipes, man, we've been given the opportunity to prepare our minds for what's to come. Now, obviously, we don't know, a lot in exact detail. We don't know how it's going to play out, but hey, at the end of the day, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. You see, because whatever our lot is at the end of the day, Yahweh Shema Shai, if we're of that number, the Lord's going to be with us, and he's going to give the Spirit. The Spirit is going to be on us to be able to deal with whatever it is that we got to deal with. And that's the thing about it, just dealing with the fact, you see. And that's pretty much why I touted this the way that I touted it, because, hey, we know, as I always say, when it comes to what we see, all this, this is not the end all be all. And as I've been saying, we're just merely pilgrims passing through, right? We know at the end of the day, this is not our rest. All right. And the Apostle Gabar, he mentioned in this video, and he often says this about how the fact that, we're not living, we're just merely surviving. We're merely getting by, because this isn't life. Again, this isn't it. This is not the end all be all. So it's like the hell of this place. And again, that's why I touted this, what that I touted it, the hell of this life, because this isn't life. So being said, with all that being said, Yahweh Shema Shai, again, he's been having it to where, because you see, this is why it's just like when it comes to our people, man, it's just one thing or another. It's like Jake can't get a break at him. Well, Yahweh Shema Shai is deliberately doing that. Now, 2/3 they can't seem to put the pieces together, because the Lord's not dealing with them on the side. But we know, we understand through the Holy Spirit why it's like this. Because again, Yahweh Shema Shai, he has to constantly remind us this is not our rest, and he has to constantly show us, and the Lord has to constantly, make the point to where we don't get comfortable in this place. Because one thing about Jake, man, they will make captivity home. They will make you feel like home. They will make, and as we see with 2/3, man, they've already made this home, right? I want to get this real quick. going into Yahushua in Matthew 8. Because like I've said, and like I've been saying, we're just merely pilgrims passing through. This is not the final pit stop, or this is not the final destination. This is just a pit stop. So that's why I'm going to read this real quick in Matthew chapter 8. Matthew chapter 8, I'll start at verse 18. Now when Yahushua saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. Because again, one thing about this thing of ours, man, this is not no easy cakewalk. All right, this is no easy cakewalk, man. This is no walk in the park. You want to come and serve Yahushua, you want to be a disciple of Yahushua, then hey, Sirach the 2nd chapter, man. Hey, prepare for temptation, prepare to endure, because it's going to be a constant fight. It's going to be a constant battle. All right, it's going to be a constant thing of endurance, dealing with shit, right? And that's why a lot of Jake, man, the Apostle Gabar often makes this statement as well. He mentioned it in the video that he did about how Jake not knowing what they're really involved in, because this part of this thing of ours, man, is suffering. That's pretty much what being in this truth is about. It's about suffering. Now, there's a greater cause, there's a greater purpose for why we suffer, but Jake comes in this thing thinking it's going to be a cakewalk, and come to find out it's the complete opposite, and a lot of Jake end up falling out. So know what you're involved in. On another note, man. But reading on verse read verse 19 again. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Yahushua saith unto him, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests. But the son, because you see, even when it comes to the foxes, the birds, certain animals and things of that nature, even they, for the most part, have a certain dwelling place, right? But it says, but the Son of Man have not where, Slakia, but the Son of Man have not where to lay his head. Because you see, and again, as I've been saying, man, hey, remember the stock that you come from, Jake. Because hey, even going back to our forefather Jacob, talked about how he's used rocks for pillows, man. He slept on stones, man. You see, but that's on another note. But like I said, but the Son of Man have not where to lay his head. You see, so even Yahushua didn't, for the most part, didn't have a permanent dwelling place. All right, a place to settle down or anything like that, because as the scriptures describe this is we're pilgrims. All right, for the most part, brothers living in apartment complexes, and every couple of years, brothers have to find a new spot, and it's constantly moving around, because again, Yahweh Shema Shah is constantly reminding us that this is not our rest. This is not the final pit stop. This is not the final destination, man. And again, Yahweh Shema Shah deliberately set it up that way to constantly remind us this is not home. So with all that being said, like I said, it just seems like it's always one thing or another. Well, the Lord set it up that way deliberately to remind us not to get comfortable here. And with that being said, hey, it gets to a point where it's just like, the hell with all this, man. Going back to the title, the hell with this so-called life that we're living. Because again, we're not living, we're just surviving at best. And speaking of, because Apostle Gabar brought this out in his lesson as well, in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, I think that was verse 31. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 15 and 31. It says, by your rejoicing, which I have in Hamashiach, our Lord, I die. We're not living. We're not truly living. Yahweh Shema Shah gives us basic necessities. It keeps us on that fine line, which Apostle Paul often also as well. He talked about that. Sometimes the Lord gives us more. Sometimes the Lord he takes away, because we just learn to be content with whatever the Lord gives us. We learn to just to live, that fine line as I describe it. You know, not too much, not too little. We, keep it simple, man. Keep it basic, as it tells you in our Father's prayer, going into our daily bread, man. All we need is just enough to get by, to make it through. As I say, a day-to-day basis, man. You know, just a day-to-day basis, man. That's all we need is our daily bread. Just get us what we need. Again, the Lord is constantly, taking, giving us. He takes away. Shalom, Yahweh Shema Shabrakatah. And this ain't it, man. This is not it. This and I always say the water to Yahweh Shema Shah that this ain't it, man. Because if this was it, we're done. We are finished. We are through. The water Yahweh Shema Shah, this ain't it, man. And we've been blessed to have that gift to see, because 2/3 this is the NLB. Like I said earlier, this Jake, they make this their permanent home. They make this, and as a brother La Hoya often says, man, Jake making permanent decisions in a temperate situation, man. All this is temperate. It's temporal, man. So like I said, ultimately, it gets to a point where it's just like, man, the hell with all this. And then again, because the Apostle Gabar was talking about this in his video, about how, with all that being said, it gets easier when it comes down for those of us, the hopeful elect, that are going to end up getting beheaded, right? It becomes easier, because the Apostle Tahar make this statement about how, hey, we have to be prepared to face death. And for the elect, it's going to be easy, because we don't have we don't give two shits about this place regardless. We don't give two shits about this place, man. We can't wait to, because my rib, just to use that as an example, my rib, because she has a big family, and every so often she gets about someone passing away, and of course, naturally, being in the flesh, it hurts. So, she's crying and whatnot. But inside, I'm thinking, man, I'll just be thinking, man, these people, they're lucky, because being in the spiritual realm, it's better than being in this place, man. Being in the spiritual realm, if the Lord takes your spirit and you're in the spiritual realm, you're good. You're at rest. You're at rest. You're good. So it's like, what you crying about? Even those that are in the spiritual realm looking down, because again, naturally, someone, a loved one passes away, or whatever the case may be, and they're in the spiritual realm, and here it is, we're down here on earth, and we're weeping and sorrowful and whatnot, and they're in the spiritual realm looking down on us like, what y'all crying about? We're good. It's just, I've been thinking about stuff like that. They're good, and I just been thinking, man, these people, they're lucky. But nevertheless, it's like the Apostle Paul said, if we're of that number, it's more needful for us to be here. It's better for us to be here, for a number of reasons. But nevertheless, in our mindset, we're already prepared to face death, man. It's, that's just, because again, we know and understand that this ain't it. This is not the end all be all, right? And speaking of, go to that in Revelation 12. Because again, man, Yahweh Shema Shah, he deliberately set it up like this, that even when it comes down to the very so-called lives that we're living, right? The so-called lives that we're living, right? Because again, this isn't life. Revelation 12:11, it says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not unto the death. And, let me check, because my brother probably posted that on the comment board. But I'm gonna read it again in Hebrew, Revelation 12:11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So you see, all right, because again, it gets to a point where it's just like, the hell with this so-called life that we're